Hi, I'm Peter Thomson and welcome to the Economics of Innovation. Today we want to have a conversation about the business case for design. And to really understand the business case for design, we want to look at a very simple but very powerful equation from the world of economics. And of course an equation is going to be a little bit frightening to a lot of designers, but the power that it gives you access to in terms of communicating with CFOs, with your CEO, with leaders in business is so powerful that it's really worth taking the time to understand. And so what we'll do is look at, for example, the iPod in terms of the profit that Apple makes off that as a product is driven from two things. It's driven from the revenue that they earn from that product and also from the costs associated with it. But it's not as simple as that. And so an economist would look at a product like the iPod and break it down just a little bit more. So for example, in terms of revenue, you would be looking for not just what's the price of the iPod, but also how many of them can they sell. And there are design influences on both of those areas, both in terms of aesthetics, in terms of marketing, branding, and in terms of the product design, in terms of where you want the price to be positioned, and also how much you're going to sell in terms of how far and deep you're going to reach to the target market. The second area that you're going to want to break down into just a little bit more detail when you take an economic approach to design is to really look for, well, what are the variable costs of the product? So the iPod is very carefully put together in terms of product design and even in terms of marketing, in terms of how much it costs to sell each unit. So they really look at the cost of materials, the cost of packaging, look at ways of making that product more efficient on a per unit basis. And that's a conversation worth having within your business. The other area that often forgotten in design and creativity, but which really does need to be considered because it's so important, is the fixed costs. So to be thinking through the cost of production, the overheads, right the way across the business is such an area of opportunity for design in terms of saying what can we do to take cost out of the supply chain, what can we do to run the business more efficiently, and even change the entire business model in terms of how the product's delivered. And iTunes is a perfect example of that. The cost to deliver iTunes in terms of fixed cost compared to some of the other models that Apple's experimented with over the years is drastically reduced. So as a designer, you've got the opportunity to have influence in more areas of the business than you probably realized.